Hey, friends. Happy Halloween if you're celebrating, and I am back with another royal rant. Because, well, it seems that being publicly heckled like a politician in the street was the nudge that was needed for Charles to take real action against regular citizen Andrew Mountbatten Windsor. He had to finally stop dithering about embodying Christian forgiveness to his brother as head of the Church of England, because we have heard before, friends, from reporters that that was the reason. Last I understood, the Church of England still believed in justice and judgment, so I don't know what the hell he was thinking, to be honest. If any of y'all do, tell me in the comments. Y'all know I'm open to being corrected. I really am. Just give me a good argument, because Charles is annoying. And Charles knows damn well that the Church of England really only exists because Henry VIII was upset that the Pope didn't want to give Henry the authority to go ahead and marry Anne Boleyn and have legitimate heirs with her while Catherine of Aragon was still alive. So he broke with the Catholic Church and created the Church of England, which is the church that Charles is head of to this day. And it seemed like Charles was going to be, really grounded about it. He's been really interested in Islam. He has been interested in, Buddhism and learning about other faiths, and that seemed all great and good. But why is it now suddenly whenever it come to actually dealing out the most mild of punishments on his brother who's been lying about his association with Epstein all this time, suddenly, well, he has to think about embodying Christian forgiveness as the head of the Church of England. I don't buy it, friends. And just to be clear, friends, whenever I'm talking about the Church of England, that is absolutely not to diminish anyone's personal faith. That is a completely different thing than the fact that Charles, by accident of birth, is supposedly born as a divine right to head of the Church of England, when we all know why the Church of England was created in the first place. That does not, knowing why the Church of England was created in the first place, doesn't invalidate people's individual faiths to me, not at all. Because that is a completely separate thing from religious, political, and power of the monarchy down through accident of birth with this divine right system. That's a completely different thing than an individual reading the tenets and the rules and the affirmations of a certain faith and deciding, I think this is be good practice in my life. That is a totally different thing that I respect. But the divine birthright stuff is a difficult pill to swallow whenever you have royals protecting predators. And again, I understand that Andrew denies all the accusations against him, but he swore up and down that he only went to New York to talk to Jeffrey Epstein because of his tendency to be too honorable. And his tendency to be too honorable made him not take the chicken's way out to end his friendship with Epstein over the phone, but to fly to New York, stay in his house for a few days, enjoy his masseuses, take a walk in Central Park with him, to honorably tell him that because he has behaved in a manner unbecoming, that's what Andrew called Jeffrey going to prison for soliciting minors for prostitution. Children, not women, children. That's what Andrew called behaving in a manner unbecoming. And because of his own honorable, deep honorable senses, he had to fly to New York and tell him in person, I'm sorry, we can't be seen together anymore. What the actual hell, friends? So we found out he was lying about that. So how do we believe anything he says? Who cares if he protests that he's innocent? We know he lied whenever he said he cut off his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein because of his honorability. So why would we believe anything he says now? Why would anyone? Why would Charles? Yeah, it's really weird. It feels like Charles thinks that showing strength as a monarch is to stand completely still, just allow everything to move and happen around him while he thinks about it, while he contemplates his position. What the fuck? He's probably meditating on how he has all this power due to an accident of birth. What does he think about that? That's how it appeared until one member of the Republic movement decided to publicly confront Charles in the street and say, Charles, what did you know about Andrew and Epstein? And Charles pretended to be deaf all of a sudden, just he could only hear the positive things. He could see, hear, speak no evil. But we can see he clearly heard because it jostled him into action. The heckling, in my opinion, that was the moment when Charles absolutely realized it was just shoved in his face that he could no longer stick his head in his herb gardens and pretend that he doesn't understand public perception of how he's handling Andrew. Left wing British newspapers, they're always really quick to call for abolishing the monarchy and stuff like that, but they usually have a lot of right wing pushback. Like whenever during the prime minister debates, or sorry, friends, if I'm saying the wrong thing there, in America, we have presidential debates. Whatever was happening, whenever Boris Johnson and who was it? Keir Starmer, I think, were debating against each other, and I think there was a general election to see who was going to be prime minister, which party was going to be in power, basically. So which leader would be in prime minister? And the question posed was, "Is the monarchy fit for purpose?" And Boris Johnson said, "The institution of the monarchy is above reproach." And Keir Starmer said, "I could use a little work." But that's always been the right wing pushback whenever the left starts talking about abolishing the monarchy, because what even is this kind of thing? But now the queen is dead and no one's saying stuff like that anymore. I haven't heard a single British politician say anything, make as strong a statement as what Boris Johnson did at that time. I'm sure there are some, because obviously being American, even though I try to keep up on British politics, I don't see as much as a British citizen would. But still, yeah, it doesn't seem to be happening so much this time. Instead, we have royal reporters who have been proven to not know a single thing of what they're talking about. They've been puffing their chest out and rolling their R's dramatically, talking about how, oh, Andrew was born a prince. There, that could never be removed. That no, he was born to that. There's nothing that can take that away. And then over and over, well, his dukedom cannot be taken away other than by an act of parliament, and that would waste government time. I am a non-professional millennial with a YouTube channel, and I've been following royal news since the 80s through National Enquirer, Star Magazine, and Google. These are not hugely reliable sources, and I knew better. I knew that they could make this happen. All King Charles has to do is issue letters patent that can remove his prince by birth status, can remove his dukedom. All that can happen. And it appears that perhaps they've gotten Andrew to accept this by threatening letters patent that would actually take away Beatrice and Eugenie's princess by birth statuses. So that was always possible. I don't know why these royal reporters tried to act like it was completely impossible, unless perhaps they've been slipped a little something to try to sway public opinion certain ways. What do y'all think, friends? All these royal reporters that have been up close and personal with the royal family, doing their biographies, doing their personal interviews, blah, 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 for decades, kept banging on and on about how, oh, Andrew has a cast iron leaf, cast iron leaf. It's a cast iron leaf. There's nothing the king can do. It's a cast iron leaf. No, there was something he could do. He could take it all away very easily, because Andrew lives on privilege. He wasn't living as a regular citizen subject to normal rules. He was living as a member of the monarchy, and that has been taken away. It was always possible to be taken away. Charles, as the king, has the ability to take away anyone's royal status in the British royal family. And it doesn't matter whether it comes from birth or from marriage or from a strange woman lying in ponds distributing swords. And if the letters patent have that kind of power, you know they can end a lease on the crown estate. And clearly, in my opinion, they have. So, like I said, considering the gossipy, inaccurate sources of my royal knowledge, you would expect these people to know more. The professionals, the actual professionals with access to the royals. Makes you wonder, does Andrew have some of that Epstein cash stashed away somewhere? Maybe a little $100,000, something that Sarah asked for to get her through some small bills? Is it stashed away? Did it grease some palms? Because whenever it come out in the last few days, there were all these articles saying, well, Andrew was negotiating to leave, but him and Sarah are demanding 2 properties that they to go to, and there might not be anything the king can do. He has to get him out of Royal Lodge to satisfy the public. They want Andrew wants to go to Frogmore, and Sarah wants to go to Adelaide, and there just might not be any other way for the king to handle it. Well, then all of a sudden, we got a couple of articles where sources from Sarah and Andrew's household from Royal Lodge were saying, actually, this was the king's offer to them. They did not demand this. They did that because the public reaction whenever it first came out was, what the hell is the point of having him leave one royal property for another? Right there on the Windsor Estates in London. Andrew and Sarah, as always, they could never take the heat. They could never keep their mouths shut. And they instantly had to leak out, like, oh, that was Charles's idea. Now, this is just my theory. I'm just opining and surmising, but everything I've thought has turned out pretty right so far. But I think the king might have actually offered them those and then had his people try and put it out that they were demanding it to give him cover from public backlash of why he did that. I think he was still trying to protect Andrew and Sarah and trying to also protect himself from public backlash of, oh, it was that due to that cast iron lease. He just had no choice but to let them have Frogmore and Adelaide. I think he wants to keep them close because he feels like out of sight they'll get up to more mischief. But still, he knows it looks fucking ridiculous. Charles has never shown any stomach for doing anything about Andrew and Sarah. And I think that from his ivory tower and head in the clouds, he actually thought that downsizing them would eventually quell the masses if he could just make it, their fault, not his fault. I can't help but wonder if that plan might not have worked if Andrew and Sarah hadn't panicked and reached out. I can just imagine Charles's private secretary calling Andrew's private secretary and being like, "Well, there you go. The king was gonna let y'all go to Frogmore and Adelaide and say that you demanded it as a cover for why he did it. Now that you put out that you didn't demand it at all, that it was an offer, he can't do that because it's not gonna satisfy the public. Thanks a lot." Again, this is just satire and me opining, but I can just imagine that that's probably what happened. What do y'all think, friends? Am I right or am I totally reaching there? Let me know. Maybe I'm reaching. But anyway, have y'all seen Sandringham? Let's take a little look, friends. It seems that all they're actually doing is removing him from the heart of London so that he's kind of isolated in the country. I mean, Sandringham, they keep referring to it as cold, windy, isolated. These royal reporters who I've just illustrated why we shouldn't listen to anything they say anyway. Look at this place, y'all. Does that look like a punishment to y'all? Doesn't to me. Anyway, have a good Halloween, friends. Let me know what y'all think in the comments. I really should know what I'm talking about, friends. Sorry.